What is up, Packers fans? Happy game day. Welcome into our live pregame show here on Pack-A-Day. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. You can find the podcast, of course, at Pack-A-Day Podcast. Hope your game day is going swimmingly. I hope your game day is going better than the Jaguars' game day is currently going. They look terrible. Hopefully, I'm giving you a little bit of a reprieve from what has been an awful performance from Jacksonville against the Rams so far. 21-0 Rams. 36 seconds left in the third quarter in Jacksonville, punting away. Completely no-show game for Jacksonville in London. Good performance from the Rams, though. Their defense is legit. They're a really, really good team. If Matthew Stafford stays healthy, if Puka Nacua can get back healthy, true story, I was going to take Rams and Buccaneers as my NFC Championship game before the season started. Now, that was right before the Micah Parsons trade. And then Stafford had all the back issues, and I'm like, I don't think I can trust that. So I went Buccaneers, Packers. But I think the Rams are a really good football team, but awful performance so far from Jacksonville in this one. But we are not here to talk Rams, Jaguars. We are here to talk Packers, Cardinals. As we went over in the pregame show, a wild day yesterday, including a 5 to 6 hour plane delay, which is obviously not ideal. You have Josh Jacobs, who's a true game time decision for this game. Kyler Murray's officially out. Pierre Strong activated from the practice squad. Aaron Mosby activated from the practice squad. Jacob Monk put back on the 53-man roster. And the big thing is when these inactives come out in a couple, 2.5 hours here, almost 3 hours. What we're looking for is really Zach Tom, Nate Hobbs, Keyshawn Nixon, and of course, Josh Jacobs. Now, based on the call-ups and things like that, I'm pretty certain that either Keyshawn Nixon or Nate Hobbs will for sure play in this game. But will they both play? I think that's a big question still. And then, of course, the other two, Josh Jacobs and Zach Tom, could have a major influence in this game, whether or not they can play or not. And in the meantime, we already know LVN and Devontae Wyatt are out for this game as well. Now, I know what some of you are thinking already. Andy, is that a yellow and red Packer sweatshirt? Oh, it is. And it gets so much better. This is not an ad for this, by the way, and I'll explain in just a moment. Look at this thing. This is the greatest thing in the history of the world. A Packers Godzilla sweatshirt. If they win today, I might continue to wear this on every pregame show just forever because they're never obviously going to lose again. So here's the thing. I saw this thing on Facebook and I never ordered anything so fast in my life. And I immediately regretted that because it seemed very sketchy as soon as I ordered it. The PayPal thing came back and it was just like to one person overseas. I'm like, oh, this doesn't look good. And I had to continue monitoring like all of my information. It wasn't shipping. It wasn't coming. Then I started getting like emails of like, hey, it's on its way. And then it still wasn't coming. And I'm like, yeah, I definitely got scammed here out of I don't even know how much it was. And I'm like, this is not great. And then it showed up and it came and it's the greatest thing ever. So I'm very, very happy with my Godzilla Packers sweatshirt. So that's what we're rolling with today. And if the Packers win, you definitely have the Godzilla Packers sweatshirt to thank for it. So you're welcome in advance. If they don't win today, I probably just have to burn it. I think those are the rules. But Godzilla sweatshirt making the first appearance today. Kevin and Bill, I guess. Kevin Bill? It can't be Kevin Bill. I don't know. That's two first names. If that's your real name is Kevin Bill, I have some questions, Kevin Bill. Hey, Andy, sorry if you've already seen me ask this under your happy hour video. Would be interested to hear from you how much you think the following might impact the non-calls against opposing offensive linemen when going against Parson. A subsection of Rule 12, Article 4 of the NFL rules says it's allowed for an offensive lineman to counter rip moves with blocks that would normally be called holding. So yes, it's a lesser known aspect of just offensive line play in general. If you rip through, if you use a full rip move, basically you get carte blanche to hold the player. That's it. Like that's basically what it is. So if you see an obvious holding penalty, sometimes you have to go back and see, did he use a rip move? Because if he used a rip move, it's totally legal. You have no longer any right to complain about holding on that particular play. So I know not a lot of people know that. It is definitely an aspect of the game. Now, I don't think that that's been the issue when I've watched with Micah Parsons. There's maybe one or two of them here or there that you could argue. Rashawn's a big rip move user, so that definitely affects him a little bit more. But yeah, overall, it's something that you have to be cognizant of and aware of. But I don't think it's anything that's holding Micah Parsons back or anything like that. But I don't think most people know it. It is a real thing. So just know if you see an obvious holding penalty on the replay, see if he used that rip move. Because if he did, that's why they didn't call it. And they didn't call it specifically and purposefully because of that. I feel like Parsons uses a lot of rip moves, which might explain some of the holds are not being called. Yeah, again, it's a piece of it, but it's not a big enough part. There still is too many holding penalties there that are not being called. It's the Groove. Thank you for becoming a new member. Appreciate that. Emanuel Wilson could make a lot of money this game. I hope so. I hope he does. I'm a big Emanuel Wilson guy. I really was since he kind of came in the league and played as a undrafted free agent in that first preseason. I've talked about this on numerous times, but he came into the league as a good running back. The hard part when you're an undrafted player and you're a running back, right? And you have kind of one skill set, in his case, running the football. Well, it's a really difficult thing sometimes to make the team or make an impact because you usually have a starter, and that's going to be your primary ball carrier, right? So you don't need another one of those. And then your number two running back, or at least another one of your running backs, has got to be somebody that can do a little bit of everything: pass protection, run blocking, pass protection, running the ball, and catching the ball to the backfield. He didn't have those other aspects of his game. So he kind of was just a one-trick pony, and he wasn't a special teams guy, and he didn't do that other stuff well. So it's really tough to make it as an undrafted free agent as just somebody that, hey, if we hand it to the guy, he's good, but he can't really do much else, and we don't need to hand it to him because we have either Aaron Jones or Josh Jacobs, right? So that's a tough position to be in. Green Bay thought so much of him that they kept him anyway, developed him, and rightfully so, because he has really rounded out his game. He's really good catching the ball to the backfield. He's not like a player that you can like motion out wide and all of a sudden he's, running slants or, Texas routes or things like that. Like that's not what he is. But check down, swing passes, things like that, he's very good with, and he's become a much better pass protector as well, which is why you've seen him take more snaps from Chris Brooks lately, is because he's elevated that level of his game. So I think he's a complete back. I think he has the ability to be a starter in this league. And I think this is, if Josh Jacobs can't go on this one, or even if Jacobs does and he's limited, this has the ability to be a really good opportunity for Emanuel Wilson. And I do hope and think he has the opportunity to take advantage of that. Didn't realize this, but the Packers have allowed the fewest rush yards and the fourth lowest yards per carry. Yeah, their rush defense has been amazing. It's like around 70 some yards per game. Now, part of that is you've had, double digit leads in every game. The Dallas game was a shootout, but part of it is just really good run defense as well, especially early in games. We're back. All right. Sorry about that. Power went out momentarily. I think I blew a fuse or something. See if I can get this back on. And then, of course, the internet went down as well. So yeah, sorry about that. Had to get the internet back up and all of the power back working. Hopefully the internet is okay. It shows it's a little bit unstable right now. So sorry for any convenience there. Get back to the question. But yeah, their run defense, long story short, has been really good. I don't know what I cut off or when I cut off. So I'm just going to leave it there. Run defense has been really, really good. All right, back to our regularly scheduled program. Feel a lot better about the Cowboys and Bengals games after the recent games. Yes, you can argue that, absolutely. And again, I think right now, this stage of the season, as we've seen for everyone, just get wins right now. You could also make the argument that the Browns loss looks a lot worse. It's their one win on the season, so that definitely doesn't look as good. Also, I mean, the Cowboys, they certainly put up points, but they lost last week again. That one certainly looks a little bit shaky as well. Long story short, they should have beat both of those teams. I don't think anyone's, making any statements otherwise of like, now it's okay that they lost against the Browns or tied the Cowboys. But, hopefully they learned from those. They were better last week against Cincinnati. Hopefully they're even better today against Arizona, pick up a win. And depending on how things go, might end up on the top of the standings if things fall correctly, Tampa loses, etc. So we'll see how that goes today, but hopefully just a consistent and continued improvement for this team moving forward. All right, seeing Jacobs and Nixon play, it being against the backup quarterback and the playing issues, I do not feel good about this game. Sometimes, honestly, hyperactive Sam, that's a great place to be at. Like, do we ever really feel good, right? So you go against a really good team and you're like, oh, this is going to be a tough one. Don't feel good about this. You go against an evenly matched team and you're like, this is going to be back and forth. This could go either way. Don't feel great about this. You go against a team that you're lightly supposed to be, kind of like in this one, right? On the road, etc. Like, this feels like it could be a trap game. And then you go against a team last week like Cincinnati where you're double-digit favorites and you're like, I don't know if they're going to be good enough in this game, or you get the win and you're like, it still wasn't good enough. It's one of those things where you just have to sit back and enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, and let the Packers take you on a ride for the season. And hopefully the ride's great. Hopefully it's really good. And hopefully you get a win today. But I don't know. Most weeks there's very few weeks where I go into it being like, yep, Packers got this easy. And then it still goes easy, right? There's always going to be some trepidation and some, just some things that you have to overcome along the way. So hopefully Green Bay can take care of business today. But yeah, there's certainly going to be challenges in this game. And we've certainly seen some of those challenges rear their ugly head yesterday as well. Thoughts on the running game with Jacobs potentially out? Honestly, Tyler, I want to see them rely on the passing game a little bit in this one. I think they have the ability to beat this Arizona team through the air if given the opportunity. And I think we've all kind of wanted to see Jordan Love maybe have a little bit more reign, free reign within this offense to be able to kind of throw the ball around. Now, that doesn't mean abandon the run. That doesn't mean don't try to get it going. But I would be willing to see Jordan have a little bit more, autonomy and just opportunity to kind of throw both down the field, intermediate, short, and kind of let him dictate the game, and then kind of use Emanuel Wilson after you set up the pass. Now, that's easier said than done. If there's no Josh Jacobs, what are you going to see? You're probably going to see a lot of too high safety. And as Matt LaFleur mentioned last week, if we can't run against too high safety, it's going to be a really long day at the office. So if you see too high safety, just watch it early in the game, right? If they're in too high safety, you're going to have to get that running game going, whether it's Jacobs or Emanuel Wilson. You have to show that you can run against too high safety. And if you can't, it's usually going to be a long day for you because it's tough to throw against that look. There's not going to be a ton open. And now, you're just going to have to develop that run game. That's like one of the biggest things in the NFL. It just, it goes right along with kind of turnovers and, some of the more obvious, like explosive plays. If you see a team that's in too high safety and their run defense is stopping you, you can't run against it. It's a long day. It's a really long day. It makes it really, really difficult. So hopefully Green Bay, if they do see that too high, Emanuel Wilson or whoever the back is can get going and have a really good day. But if they're playing, still to stop the run, I want to see Jordan Love have the opportunity to kind of throw the ball around in this one. I feel great. Flu games and reason to stick it to Arizona. There you go, Jen. I'm glad you feel great. At least somebody's feeling extra confident. Plus, we've got the Godzilla sweatshirt. So, we've got to feel good about that. Half my family lived in Arizona. We'll be cheering loudly for the Pack today. I have a feeling there's going to be a very strong Packers contingent at this game. I'd be pretty surprised if there wasn't. Andy, I was listening to Brett Collerman's podcast, and when talking about the Packers, he said they try to limit possessions, even though it plays into a lesser opponent. Thoughts? They do have a grinded out mentality to games. They want to run the football, and they want you to have to grind 15, 17 play drives. And it does potentially play into a Cleveland Brown game here or there, but it also plays into wins against teams like Detroit. And to be fair, like let's be totally abundantly clear here. They have outplayed their opponent in 5 games. All right. They have been the better team. They have been the team that should have won all 5 of these games. They should be sitting at 5-0. Special teams is really one of the key reasons. Now, that's not to say the defense was good enough against Dallas. It's not to say the offense was good enough against Cleveland, but they were the better team. They outperformed. And if you were to, score based on point, like judges' points in that game, Green Bay would be 5-0 right now. Doesn't work that way. You had a big block kick at the end of Cleveland's game that cost you the 2-point conversion return, really cost you in that game against Dallas. Obviously, a couple other things that you'd like to go a different way, but Green Bay has been the better team. And I think the thing that I really like as well, I like that mentality. If we're going to run the ball, we're going to grind you down and you're going to have to grind out drives against us. And we're going to beat you that way. What we have seen is in the second half against Dallas, when they had to put up points, they were able to do so. When, whether it's especially in this last game against Cincinnati, when Cincinnati started to come back, they needed a drive. Same thing. I think it was against either Washington or Detroit. I forget which one, but they had cut the lead and then Green Bay immediately went down. I think it was Washington. Green Bay immediately went down and scored a touchdown when they needed to be like, yeah, this game's still over. Like they've shown the ability to be like, yeah, when we need to, we can turn on the gas and go for it. And I know everyone wants to say, hey, why don't you just do that all game long? And there's an argument there, but I do appreciate how they want to go about grinding down their opponents. And it may not always be the sexiest, but I do think it's going to get you wins. And I do think if the special teams just played their role, they're probably sitting at 5-0 with that philosophy so far. So I don't hate it. And I do think they have the ability to turn it on when they need to. But we'll see how it kind of goes the remainder of the season. We'll see how it goes today against Arizona. If they might need to adjust it at some point in time, but this is the sort of style that they want to play. I don't hate it. I like the idea, but let's see how they can execute on it moving forward. Have they landed safely? Love about to go 350 and 4 touchdowns. I do believe, Helson, we haven't seen any breaking news. So I do believe yesterday they did land safely and would love for a big love game today. I'm away to Glendale to watch this game live. Go Pack Go. Hey, enjoy the heck out of the game. Give them hell, my friend. Go Pack Go, baby. Good to see you, Alejandro. If Jacobs doesn't go, everyone going to get their Air Jordan game they've been asking for. It could be, but don't be surprised if Emanuel Wilson gets 18 carries in this game and has a good solid performance too. In an ideal world, you still want to be balanced. In an ideal world, you still want to be able to run the ball and pass the ball. And to me, the onus is on the offensive line in this one. I talked about this a little bit in the pregame show. I don't have the same confidence in Emanuel Wilson to make things happen when guys are just shooting through gaps. Where Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones was great at this too. The teams will have those guys for like 2-yard loss on the play, and they still make like 4 yards out of it. Like they are magicians in the backfield when things go wrong. I don't have the same confidence in Emanuel Wilson to be able to do that. But if the blocking's good up front, I think Emanuel Wilson can be phenomenal in this game. So I want to see a much better performance from the run blocking. And if they get that, I do think Emanuel Wilson can still have a really big game in this one. Let's effing go. Love it, Brett. Thanks for being here. So here's the thing. I talked about this too on the pregame show, but anytime I hear calf now, I just freak out. Damian Lillard, Tyrese Halliburton, amongst others, just scares the crap out of me. You have a calf injury, you think it's okay, and all of a sudden it pops in Achilles. I have no basis for that whatsoever, other than a very vague understanding that Tyrese Halliburton and Damian Lillard had calf injuries before popping their Achilles. Could have been completely unrelated. I don't know. I can pretend to be a lot of things. A doctor and a medical professional and a medical expert is certainly not one of them. I just know that now when I hear calf and somebody playing with a calf injury, I freak out. I don't want anything to do with it. So if it's me, I'm probably resting Jacobs in this one. Thankfully, people well smarter than me are the ones making that decision, and hopefully they make the right one. And if he's good to go, he's good to go. If he's not, they sit him down, and hopefully there's no risk of injury or re-injury or anything like that, or certainly anything catastrophic from a major injury standpoint. Marvin Harrison Jr. should be good to go. He was not on the final injury report as questionable or anything like that. So he should be good to go in this game. Yeah, the Liverpool game was not going well. I know they were down 1-0 in the first 2 minutes. Yeah, it looks like they're still down right before halftime. So yeah, not great for my Liverpool squad right now, but hopefully they can get it going in the second half here. Thank you, Chelios. Would you rather this defense with the pass rushers we have cover more of the short and intermediate passing game and be more prone to giving up explosive plays? No, I don't. I think that they're playing it the right way. I do think they have to be a bit more aggressive in moments and in figure out ways to, kind of shut down that short passing game when it starts getting into a little bit of a rhythm. I still think this is a good philosophy overall. Don't allow explosive plays, stop the run, have a good pass rush. And if that initial play isn't there, then you're, at risk of maybe taking a sack or having a holding penalty. I don't always love the situations where you're getting paper cut after paper cut after paper cut, and before you know, you're bleeding out on the ground and your defense is starting to get fatigued because of it. I just think that you have to pick the lesser of evils when you're on defense, and you've got to figure out a way, what do you want to allow? What do you want to stop? And I think stopping explosive plays and the run game is a really great, way to kind of stack the casino in your favor to put the odds, strictly behind you. Now, there's ups and downs to everything. If there was a perfect defense, everyone would be running it. And this is it's not perfect because you are susceptible to some of the short, quick passing game, especially on the outsides. And it makes it more difficult to get turnovers because the ball is coming out quick. And those are usually not the plays where you generate turnovers, right? So I think they have to, kind of switch things up every now and again just to kind of keep the opposing offense honest. And again, when they start getting into a rhythm, I think you have to find ways to disrupt that rhythm so they don't just kind of do the same thing. But I think Jeff Hafley will be over it. I think the defense will be better. I do think a huge part of these past two games defensively have been George Pickens and Jamar Chase. I think if you don't have Jamar Chase and George Pickens, those game plans, those same things that they did, go completely out the window. And I think that's why you saw them have success against Cleveland, Detroit, and Washington, because they don't have that, kind of alpha wide receiver on the outside that can make you pay for the way that they're kind of playing. Now we'll see if Marvin Harrison and Michael Wilson can get those things going today. But if not, I think Green Bay is going to be in a much better spot. And I think they'll hold them under 20 again if they kind of play the same brand of football that they've been playing. So I think you have to be a little bit more cognizant of it. And they're going to play some good receivers. Justin Jefferson's still on the schedule 2 times, right, amongst others. So you're still going to have to be cognizant of it. But overall, I like the philosophy for Green Bay. That's my real name. It's German though, but I know your real name is Kevin Bill. Kevin, I didn't actually think that was your real name, so I was kind of being facetious about it. But there's obviously nothing. I have technically 2 first names. Andy and Herman are both technically first names as well. So I have nothing to speak. I have no grounds to make fun of anyone for it. But no, totally good, Kevin. I was totally just messing with you. Do I need to sub in Wilson now? That's the tough part, right? Is we're not going to know if you're a fantasy player. We're not going to know before the noon games. You're not going to find out until about 2:00. So if you have Wilson and Jacobs, though, in fantasy, then you can kind of make that decision before game time. And if you see if Jacobs is playing or not. Any thoughts on if Parsons' brother's comments about Hobbs tweeted that Hobbs stinks? I didn't see that. I think one of the things that people do need to recognize is that, well, Micah's brother is very outspoken and Christian Watson's dad is really outspoken. They're their own people. They are, somebody like you or me or anyone else that's got a social media account that can tweet things, right? So Christian's dad has hot takes. Don't always agree with a lot of them. I'm sure Micah's brother has some really smart takes. I'm sure he's got some outlandish takes as well from time to time, just as you or me or anyone else do. We're not going to get everything 100% right, right? So I know that it feels like it's an extension of the player, and does it affect the team? I just don't think it does. I think you have to, kind of take it that in this day and age, everyone's got a social media account. Everyone's saying what they want to say. I don't think it shouldn't reflect on Micah, shouldn't reflect on anything Packers related. I don't think Nate Hobbs stinks, by the way. I think he's had a rough couple of games, hasn't played his best. I thought he had a really good training camp. Hopefully he starts to play a little bit better, but those are 2 free agent signings right now. Aaron Banks, who I thought actually, by the way, was mostly fine this past game. I had basically a neutral, very slight positive grade on him this past game. I didn't think it was anything egregious at all. Hobbs, I've had negative grades on the past couple games. I think both of them, though, you would like to play a little bit better. But now I just think, just make sure everyone is separating, Micah's brother from Micah and Christian's dad from Christian. They are not mouthpieces for Micah or Christian, especially Micah, who, has a podcast and is willing to, kind of say the things that he thinks on his own. Just let them do their thing. And if you want to ignore it. If you don't, you don't, whatever, but it's not any, to me, connection other than that it's family and that's it. I don't put anything on Micah or Christian in those scenarios. Parsons' brother doesn't know ball. He knows ball a little bit, I think, but you take it for whatever it's worth. Just another person with a platform, just like myself. Jen here with the strap and piss heater. Good game day to you all. Love that, Holmes. May the strap be ready. I love it. Let's see. No, I lost it. Sorry. Do. Technical fail. No, power went out. Let's see. Yeah, not it's everything in Green Bay right now. Everything in Wisconsin's just a little bit off. The Brewers offense can't hit. It has no power. The plane going to Arizona, it had its own mechanical issues. Wisconsin Badger has no power. They can't score a single freaking point. Everything in Wisconsin's just a tad off right now. So hopefully the Packers can turn that around, moving forward. I think it was sabotage. Hey, somebody check on Peter Bukowski. This has Locked On Packers written all over it. Just sabotaging the power, cutting the line at the worst possible moment. If I know Peter, this has Locked On Packers and Bukowski written all over it. Let's see. There we go. We're back. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Glad you guys enjoyed it. Happy game day. Any word on Nixon, Tom, and Jacobs? No, we're not going to know. It sounds like other than Jacobs being a true game time decision. There was the report out today that Jacobs thinks he can go, but it's a true game time decision. This again is one, if it's a calf injury, the team is a little bit nervous. Sometimes you need to protect the player from themselves. I'll be totally transparent. Don't love how the Packers have handled injuries as of late, whether it was Christian Watson last year, Jair Alexander. What was the one earlier this year where they brought Zach Tom, where he was out went out for one play, then came back. Even last week, he was like blacking out, not remembering things. I know he played well enough, but I'm like, man, you think you could have got through Cincinnati maybe without having that guy having to play? I get it. Guys have to play hurt and guys want to play, and that goes into it as well. But kind of wish the Packers were a little bit more cautious with some of these injuries. But we'll see what they do with Jacobs today, and hopefully whatever decision they make is the right one. Do you think Jacobs is playing? I have him starting in my fantasy, but I don't know if he's going to play. Misty, I wish I could tell you. I have no idea. Even if Jacobs does play, though, it's a real possibility that he's limited in some capacity. So just, take that for whatever it's worth. Jacobs is out. Tom is likely out. Nixon or Hobbs may be game time. Holmes, I don't know where you're getting that from, but I have not seen that anywhere. Jacobs is tough as nails, and the game time decision makes me think he's out. Could very well be the case. Sitting on a park plane for 5 hours isn't good for illness or calves. There is a chance, and I had somebody say this in the comments too. I should have mentioned this. I don't know that they were sitting on the plane the entire time. I don't know what the protocol is in that decision. I know if it's like normal humans that are not Packers players on a chartered flight, they have rules and regulations for that. It's not like everyone can just get off and like stand in the runway, things like that. I don't know what happened with the Packers in that scenario. Maybe they were able to deboard and, do whatever. I don't know what happened there, but if they were just chilling on the plane for 5 to 6 hours, certainly would not be beneficial. That's for sure. Yeah. Halfley's awesome. Always great hearing him talk. What's the status on McManus? Should I pick up a kicker before kickoff? Again, this is another one we're not going to know until inactives. Haversick is still on the active roster. It sounds like McManus is another game time decision. He did not kick this week, which is not a great sign. I would assume McManus doesn't kick in this one, but definitely don't take that verbatim. Your guess is as good as mine at this point. Yeah, hopefully he does, but he's going to have opportunities, I would think. Now, if the defense struggles, then maybe not, but I expect this to be a really good defense all year long, and I do think he will have coaching opportunities or at least interviews coming up this offseason. McManus is a legend, and anyone blaming him for special teams issues, he's money. He'll be fine. I don't think anyone's blaming McManus for special teams issue. I do think on the block against Cleveland that kick had a very low trajectory that you could, and then he had one other miss too, but McManus is going to be fine once he's healthy. And I don't think anyone's putting the entire bulk of the special teams issues on him in any way. Let's see. Let's just get out there, do our jobs, and win this game. I think that's definitely what they're going to try to do, Ray, for sure. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, calf injury, Achilles injury. There's a lot of it. That's all I'm saying. Anytime I hear calf now, I'm just deathly afraid. For better or worse, right or wrong, I have no idea, but it's definitely one that I just get nervous with now. Edge Cooper's liking your tweets. Love that for you, Jen. That's awesome. I'm going to miss at least half of the game for the third game in a row. Hopefully today's a blowout anyways. Shouldn't be missing the game of the year or anything. Hopefully that's the case, Beast, but you've got to get your schedule in order, my friend. Now, I'm sure whether it's work or family related or whatever the case may be, I'm sure you've got good reasons for it, but hopefully you can enjoy the game the portion of the game that you get to watch. Hopefully Green Bay takes care of business and you can enjoy the replay. Why do spammers come in? Stupid spammers. Andy, we thinking that Josh will play? Yeah, we went over this. I don't have an idea on it. We're just gonna have to wait until inactives at this point. Biggest matchup Green Bay can take advantage of is our matchup that could decide the game. I mean, this is honestly one where Green Bay, you feel good about everything. There's not anything that I go into this game being like, oh, this is a nightmare. I do think Wilson and Harrison Jr. on the outside can give some of that back shoulder and jump ball problems that Green Bay's had a bit of an issue with. And depending on who's in or out at corner, it could certainly affect that as well. I think that's one to really keep an eye on. I do think Josh Sweat, you have to be cognizant of on their defensive line. If he can get the best of Rasheed Walker and if Zach Tom is out and whoever starts at right tackle in that situation, that's another one to potentially monitor. So yeah, I think those are a couple. And then Trey McBride too. You've got to figure out a way to stop him. 8 targets, 8 catches a year ago, almost 100 yards, had a big game against Green Bay. He's a tough player to stop. And he's one that you definitely have to have a couple different options and game plans for because he's going to find a way to get the ball and make you pay. So I think those are the ones that you want to kind of keep a little bit of an extra eye on. But as far as like overall, like game day matchups or this unit versus that unit, I think Green Bay overall feels really good in this one. And you're not exactly losing sleep over anything from a Packers standpoint. Let's see. Jacobs has an illness and a calf. The illness is from last week. That's not going to keep him out. He had a calf injury flare up on Friday or Thursday, I think it was, and was added to the injury list. Where is our strength on like the team? I mean, I think the unique thing about Green Bay is I think they do a little bit of everything well. I do think Parsons is obviously a huge piece of their strength up front. Their run defense has been fantastic. Not being able to throw down the field because Xavier McKinney is monitoring that back end. You know, they're putting up 27 points or better in all but one game so far this year, including 40 in one game. Their offense has been pretty damn efficient against everyone except the Cleveland Browns. I think Jordan Love's having a phenomenal season. I think they have lots of strengths, and I think it's going to get even better as hopefully that offensive line gels together and as hopefully they start generating some turnovers on defense. What is an oblique injury, and is it an injury that will linger all year? Dennis, this is outside of my realm of expertise. As mentioned, not a doctor, medical professional, nor injury expert. That's a Chat GPT or a Google question, my friend, and better spent. I could try to fake it. But I couldn't define it for you very well. It's somewhere in here, right? I don't know, whatever. Can we start spreading propaganda as Packers fans that Hafley is no good, that no one tries to get him as a head coach? I mean, this was kind of like a joke a few weeks ago, right? And then like the last couple of weeks, they gave up points and everyone's like, oh, what's wrong with Jeff Hafley and everything? Like, he's going to be fine. He's doing a really good job. I love having Hafley as coordinator, and hopefully he can stay in Green Bay for a while yet. Hobbs was added to the injury report on Friday. It's all over the place. Tom and Brinson may play. Well, Brinson's playing for sure. He's not on the injury report. I think you're thinking of their other Belton, I think is who you're thinking of. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to kind of keep an eye on the injury list when that inactive list comes out. And again, about an hour and a half here. No, we're not talking about Jacob Monk, but interesting that he got activated. I talked about this a little bit on the pregame show as well, but activating Jacob Monk gives you 10 offensive linemen, which means now 2 offensive linemen are going to be inactive. You only go into the game with 8. You don't need more than that. So which 2? Is it that they activated him with the idea that Zach Tom and, Anthony Belton aren't good enough to go yet and they're going to be out this game? Maybe. Or is it just Jacob Monk's better than Donovan Jennings and either Darian Kennard or maybe Anthony Belton's not ready to go and maybe those guys are inactive? That could be the case as well. So we'll have to kind of wait and see, but it could be saying that, hey, Tom and Belton aren't going to go in this game, and that's why we needed to get an 8th offensive lineman in. Or it could just be, hey, Monk's better than Donovan Jennings, so we'll deactivate Donovan Jennings. Could be the case too. It's a lateral core muscle, and yes, it can. All right, there you go. Holmes is all over it. Brady, hate having to listen to a watch party at work as well. Gotcha. What can DB do to stop those short, quick passes? All right, well, it's a great question, right? This is another one of those examples of you have to pick and choose your poison, right? Unless you just have shutdown corners on the outside that are just going to shut down everything no matter what, you have to kind of decide how do you want to play things. You can play, you can play like a Tampa 2, right? Where you've got your two corners that are playing underneath everything. And then it kind of allows that turkey hole with you got two safeties over the top. All right. So where are the weaknesses? You have those two turkey holes that can potentially be weaknesses. Those are tough throws, but they're makeable. And if you've got a Jamar Chase or a George Pickens, you can definitely attack those. You also have a seam up the middle. Now they've got Quay Walker, Edgerrin Cooper that can run with that seam. So they're pretty well set up for that. But you also have two high safeties, which is potentially a little bit more susceptible to not as good a run defense either. But that's one thing you can do. You can play press man-to-man. Again, you can play press man-to-man with two safeties over the top, which allows you to keep things close and then probably play more of an underneath coverage with those corners. And then you've got the two safeties over the top. Again, if you are keeping the two safeties over the top, it could be a little bit more susceptible in run defense. You also could play press man. And I've seen this. Carrington Valentine had one the other day where he went to go, it was against Higgins. Higgins completely turned him around. It was on a slant. And I don't know, like Valentine ends up going the wrong way. Like it's totally turned around and Higgins just nukes him. Thankfully, the ball didn't go to Higgins on that play. But like you can just win in the man-to-man coverage and then you've got a potential big play, or again, you're just not stopping it. Man-to-man is really hard. You can also go man-to-man and they can have a bunch set or wide receivers in motion or run a bunch of man beaters, and that makes it more difficult. So you can go press man-to-man with a single high safety, stop the run, and then have an extra guy in the box, crunch the middle of the field, trust your corners on the outside, or maybe bring more pressure with that too. But then you've got one-on-ones on the outside, and hello, Jamar Chase on fourth down. It's fourth and whatever. And they throw a ball down the sideline to Jamar Chase. Nixon's got good coverage. Chase goes up and gets it and scores a touchdown. So every defense, every scheme, every play call has a deficiency. Every philosophy has a deficiency. There is no defense that stops the run, stops a deep ball, stops the quick passing game, gets a bunch of turnovers, gets a bunch of pressure, gets a bunch of sacks, brings an extra blitzer. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You have to choose on any given play, what are you trying to stop? What are you trying to take away? And what are you willing to, say, hey, you can have this. We're willing to give you this. And this is also like a mathematical equation too. The first one is if you're allowing some of that short and underneath stuff, the gambit that you're playing is we don't think you can go 17 plays, 80 yards and score a touchdown. You might go 17 plays, 80 yards and we can hold you to a field goal. Or you might have a mistake or an interception, a fumble, a holding penalty that knocks you back. You might have to punt, whatever. But we don't think you can put together a 17-play, 80-yard drive and score a touchdown. And even if you do, we don't think you can do it again and again and again. And it's just going to limit your overall point production. So that's the gambit that you're playing there, is that we just don't think you can do that. You can play gambits the other way of like, hey, we're going to keep giving you that one-on-one throw to Jamar Chase. We're going to keep pressuring you. We're going to keep blitzing you. We're going to stop the run. We're going to play a single high safety. We're going to let our corner stand an island on the outside. And you might connect on a couple of those plays to Jamar Chase down the field. We don't think you can do that over and over again. It's Jamar Chase. He probably can. So maybe you don't want to do it in that game, but maybe in other games you do. So it's what do you want to allow? What do you want to say, hey, we don't think you can do this against us? And then can you go out and execute it? And that's all there is to it. So there's always ways to stop anything and everything. And you just have to kind of pick and choose what your point of attack and plan of attack is going to be against any given offense. And that's why you game plan all week, is to try to figure out that stuff to try to put your players in the best possible position. Monk is up today, correct? We won't know until, again, about an hour and a half before the game, Arturo. Knee came up on Friday for Hobbs, correct? Am I going to Packers hell for cheering for the Vikings today? How about this, Hellison? This is you're in the right mindset, but your thinking is just a tad off. You're not cheering for the Vikings today. You're cheering against the Eagles today. That's all you have to do. You're not cheering for the Vikings. You're just cheering for the Eagles. It's a 2-0 Vikings win where Jalen Hurts runs out of the back of the end zone and gifts the Vikings 2 points. That's what you're hoping for in this one. So don't have to cheer for Minnesota, just have to cheer against Philadelphia in that game. Oh, Devontae had another touchdown. That's awesome. He's off to an awesome start this year. One of my all-time favorites. No question about it. The good doc has answers to all of our medical questions. Love it. Yes, I do need a Pack-A-Day podcast medical consultant for sure. Have JJ for 89 plus total yards today. Uh-oh. I know. Can you hedge? If he doesn't play, you get out of that though, right? Those I don't do, the one-on-ones or whatever to know exactly how that works. But isn't it if he doesn't play, you get out of that? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. At least 2 games have proven that Halfley is a bad coach and no one should want him as head coach. He's staying with us. There you go. Yeah, cover 7's another option. Cover 7's an interesting option, but not one that's used a ton. Although it is, sometimes it gets used more than you would expect. Yes, it is a very good defense. No question. Let's see. More spam, banning more users. Yeah, that's the big thing, Beast, is we obviously all want the Packers to win and we want them to win big. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna double check something right now. All right, so what I love looking at is, so for example, if you're looking at turnover margin, because turnovers can be fickle, right? Turnovers can be very fickle. The Chicago Bears are plus 1.6 per game in turnover margin. Now that's awesome for them. But they're what? Sitting at, are they 3-2? I want to say, just double checking that as well. I think they're 3-2. Yeah, they're 3-2 on the season, and they have the best turnover margin in football. What's going to happen when that turnover margin flips? Jacksonville today, they'd been plus 1.3 in turnover differential coming into this game. They don't get turnovers today, and what happens? They get completely blown out by the Rams. Detroit's plus 1.0 in turnovers. Indianapolis plus 0.8 per game in turnovers, right? They're having this unbelievable season. What happens to them when that turnover, sort of differential, kind of fades a little bit? Pittsburgh had been awesome prior to this last game in turnover differential. They don't have a last game against Cincinnati, and what happens? They lose that game. Tampa Bay plus 0.7 in turnover differential, top of the league. The Rams plus 0.5 coming into this game. Philly plus 0.3. The teams that have bad turnover differential, all right, negative. Jets and Ravens are worst, two of the best or the worst records in all of football. San Francisco negative 0.8 is one of the lone ones on the opposite spectrum where they should feel pretty good that they're probably 4-2 and haven't started to get turnovers yet. Man, quit spamming people. Idiots. All right. But look at the long story short here is so the other teams, Carolina, Cleveland, Las Vegas, Denver, Washington, New York Giants, Minnesota, Miami, Dallas, Cincinnati, Green Bay. Then you get to Green Bay. That's where teams are in turnover differential. Green Bay is hovering around the bottom feeding teams in turnover differential and still are 3-1-1 on the season. I'm telling you, that's probably a really good sign. That might be, what are you talking about? They can't get turnovers. Yeah, if that continues to be the case, it's a huge problem. 100%. And you're probably going to start trending in the direction of like, hey, if you continue to hang around the worst teams in football in turnover differential and they're all really bad, guess what's probably going to happen? You're probably going to end up pretty bad. But if they flip that, which we all expect that they will, we do not expect this to be a team that's not going to be able to generate turnovers and, have a positive turnover differential. Imagine what this team can do once they actually start getting turnovers. Hopefully that begins today. It'd be really nice to see, but there is so much meat on that bone for Green Bay still because they're winning games. They're 3-1-1. They've been the better team in all 5 games, and they haven't even begun to generate turnovers yet. They have one real one in week 1. Like it's kind of incredible in a way. And as I've said for the last handful of weeks, or at least last couple weeks, if they want to wait until December, January, February for all those turnovers to come, and then they come in bunches, I will gladly sign that contract right now and take that. Let them be dry now so that you can be fruitful down the road. Hopefully that's what happens, but I would certainly take a couple turnovers here and there along the way. Totally agreed, Beast. Like these 325 games as red zone shows the majority of the plays. That's nice. And then I just like always enjoying the full noon slate of game. You get the early game, then the noon slate of games, then you get to watch yours. And then if you want after, you can watch Sunday Night Football as well. Or you can join me for the live pregame or postgame show, I should say. That's probably the better way to utilize your time. Yes, we did talk about it quite a bit. We just don't know at this point is kind of the honest answer, Mark. We're just gonna have to wait and see if Jacobs plays or not. Yes, Devontae's absolutely a Packers Hall of Famer. Now he's a Hall of Famer too, whether I guess you don't really go in as a player, right? I can never remember which groups go in as a player for one team and which one just has their own. But either way, to me, he's a Hall of Famer, and the majority of his career will be as a Green Bay Packer. So yes. Is Jacobs a sit even if he plays today for fantasy? We've had a lot of this. I wish I had a great answer for you guys. I do think he's probably a little bit more limited, even if he does play, and there's a chance he doesn't play. So, just kind of take that for what it's worth. Any prediction for when Matthew Golden gets his first touchdown? Let's say today, Richard. I'm going to just say, I'm going to put it on the books. I bet he gets his first touchdown today. Yeah, the waiting for 3 p.m. is a little bit of a bummer. I don't have a great hierarchy right now of like what my favorites are. My least favorites are night home games. Not because I don't love them, but it creates a lot of havoc for me because I'm at the game and then I'm doing the post-game press conference. It takes some time to get home, and then I come home, and then I, don't really get to do the live post-game show because it's too late. Sometimes I try to do it depending on what time I can get home. And then I have to do a rewatch and then put podcast notes together. And a lot of those days I'm not getting to bed till like 4 or 5 in the morning, but I still love them, obviously. But those are the home night games are always the toughest. Second quarter touchdown today for Golden. I like it, Jen. Holmes is betting one in the third. Regarding defensive turnovers, how much is scheme versus individual player aggressiveness? All of the above. All of the above. It's not necessarily player aggressiveness. It's just, Charles Woodson was so great at it. Nick Collins is so great at it. Sometimes there's an instinct that comes along to it, but it also is a team thing, right? Like you've got to be able to generate pressure, and then corners have to be tied to the corner. And sometimes a little bit of luck mixed in. There's a lot that goes into it, but there's definitely scheme elements. There's player elements. There's timing elements, and it's teamwork elements too. And it kind of takes everyone working together, to be honest. So there's a little bit of all of it, Brandon. Craft is going to be a huge factor today. I could see that being the case as well. Jen, pour out a whiskey and hate on the other NFC teams. There you go. Very random. Do you know which Packer has the highest graded single season according to your grades? I could probably check it really quick. It's a Rodgers season for sure. I just have to look at which one. Let me see if I can pull it up really quick. Meantime, blocking another person. The bots really love the podcast today, the Pack-A-Day channel. I also will say I like earlier on, I was more aggressive, both positive and negative. So you definitely ended up with like higher numbers back in the day. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, in 2020, Aaron Rodgers had a plus 35.8 grade for that season. I feel like that was actually a time where I was still even a little bit more conservative than I was early on, but he was outstanding. He was unbelievable that year. And obviously an MVP season. So plus 35.8 that year, monster season for him. I bet it would probably be something like plus like 18, plus 20 for me now if I were grading it now. Again, it's the same grading system, just a little bit more condensed with aggressive numbers, both positive and negative. So it's not always great to, kind of compare year over year. But he was unbelievable that year. Thanks for becoming a new member, Mark. If you haven't checked out memberships, make sure to do so. Mark, you are awesome, my friend. Good Packers juju for you today. The more years you played for a team, that's who you go in as. Oh, is it? Okay. All right. I always forget that if that's the way that it is for the NFL. All right. So I don't know. We have conflicting reports here. Conflicting reports. Somebody's gonna have to look it up. Put on red zone, fire up the grill, have a few, and at 325 will be here before you know it. I'm right there with you. Don't really have a ranking. I like noon games. I like 325 games. Night games are probably my favorite, though. They're all great. They're all great. Because if it's a noon game, I'm bummed that I miss the rest of the, kind of like the red zone channel. And then 325, I'm usually still kind of working and doing stuff. And then I kind of get to see the Sunday night game, but usually I'm recording a podcast during that time as well. So noon games is kind of just Packers for the day. I don't really get to enjoy much else. 325, I at least get to enjoy the noon games, and then kind of can keep an eye on the Sunday night game while I'm doing some work in the background. Sunday night games, I get to enjoy the rest of the game, but then I'm up really late at night following it. And then Monday, Thursday, you get to enjoy all day Sunday, which is awesome, which I really enjoy. But again, makes for some late nights, those right after the game as well. So they're all fun. They all have different advantages and disadvantages. Still don't know if Josh Jacobs is playing, guys. Sorry. We'll know in about an hour and a half before the game. The thin crust cheese today is what we're going with, Mark. Thin crust cheese from Luigi's. Not a sponsor of today's pregame show, but legends anyway. Go pick yourself up a Luigi's frozen pizza. They sponsor the channel all year long. We appreciate them so freaking much, and cannot thank them enough for their support of the channel, and cannot thank them enough for just making amazing freaking pizza that I have eaten a whole lot of in my life and enjoy it every single time. Green Bay is the only win in the North this week. Vikings, Eagles. It's a sneaky one. I'm really interested in Vikings, Eagles. Saints, Bears, I think is going to be close too. I think the Bears win that. I think the Eagles win. And I think the Lions beat the Buccaneers. This could be a sneaky 4-0 week for the NFC. I bet it's closer to 3-1 than it is to 1-3. But if you're right, I would love for you to be right, Chris. I have a mighty meat lined up to pimp out with peppers and mushrooms. Can't wait. Love that for you, Holmes. I bet Wicks makes an impact today. Musgrave, I'll believe it when I see it. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Much love, Andy, the GOAT of Packers podcasters. Bob, thank you so much for that. Who are your top 3 teams in the NFL going into this week? That's a really tough question. I just don't think any of the teams are that good. All right, I have a controversial one, and part of it is maybe with the benefit of today. I'm actually going Packers, Buccaneers, Rams. Those are my top 3 in the NFL. You heard it here first. Packers, Buccaneers, and Rams are the best 3 teams in the NFL. I'm sticking with that for now. What is the scale now, Andy? What is the scale? Are you asking how much I weigh, Holmes? What is the scale? You're going to have to specify a little bit on that, Holmes. Yeah, it would be, what is the scale? I got you for the grading. It's the same thing it's always been, +2 to -2. I just give very high grades and very low grades very much less often. So it's just more of like almost in every play, it's somewhere between a +0.05 and +0.1 and -0.1 and -0.05. It's just a little bit more tightened up. You can still get a massive grade for a huge play. You can still get a massive negative play for a really bad play. It just tightened up a little bit more over time. Yeah, definitely Rodgers. Devontae had a huge year that year too in 2020. Yeah, just in general, I'm excited to see them play in Arizona today. Yep, appreciate that, Mark, and thanks for that, Fred. Do you think we'll see a trick play from the Packers this year? It's been a while. They had that one where they kind of threw back across the field, right? Yeah, for this year for sure. Hopefully they don't need one today and they can just play this one kind of straight up. But I'm sure Matt's got a couple things in his pocket if he wants to use it. Yeah, garlic dipper, Luigi's, big time stuff. Big time stuff. We got a 35-7 final. What a brutal game for Jacksonville in this one. 5 touchdowns for Stafford definitely helps. Not that anybody cares, but definitely helps my fantasy team though. So I will take that. Although ETN definitely did not help my fantasy. He only ended up with 55 and a catch at least, which was better than what he was trending at early in the game. So I'll take it for now. Yeah, I didn't think there was a team designation. You're all good, Holmes. I understand why people are rooting against the Eagles, but I'd rather the Eagles be good than the Vikings. It's just, here's the thing, Beast. The Vikings have the hardest strength of schedule remaining, and they're not a great football team. The Vikings are going to finish 4th in the NFC. I feel NFC North. I feel very confident in saying that. I mean, the Bears could still Bears this thing. But the Bears have a much easier schedule. So Minnesota is going to finish 4th in the NFC North. Feel really good about that. I still think it's better to get Philly reeling and like causing chaos in Philly and having them questioning everything. And even if Minnesota ends up being good in the NFC North somehow, they're not going to challenge for the top of it. And they're definitely not a contender come playoff time. I would rather a contender right now in Philadelphia, have to go through a crap storm and maybe even, miss the playoffs if things go, devastatingly. So I would rather Minnesota win that game than Philly win that game, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I got you now. Andy, which NFC North team is most likely to make a big trade? The Lions, for sure. They need a pass rusher. Let's see. We talked about this at the beginning, Brand. I still think that they want to be balanced as they possibly can. And it's just going to be predicated on how the Cardinals are playing against them. The Cardinals are playing a lot of too high safeties, then they're going to have to run the football. And I still think Emanuel Wilson can get the job done there. Yeah, Hunter's a good player. I still question that move overall. I think they're going to regret not taking Abdul Carter. And I know they have good pass rushers, or at least pretty good pass rushers. But I think Abdul Carter is going to be really special. Now, I think Hunter is going to be special too. Don't get me wrong. I think they're still going to be very happy with getting him. But I think Abdul Carter would have been the better play there. Still don't know about Jacobs. Sorry, guys. Still don't know about Jacobs. Sorry, guys. Green Bay will acquire Calais Campbell, as Andy suggested. I would love it. Don't see it happening, though, but would love if that happened. Jen, if you don't get outside and fire up the grill and have a few, that's the strap. Oh, man. Okay, Andy, won me over. Go Vikings today. I just threw up a little. No. Shh. Just cheer against the Eagles. We don't cheer for the Vikings. We don't say any such thing here. We're just cheering against the Eagles, not for the Vikings. Big differentiator. So against the Eagles is what we're cheering for. We want both teams to fail. A tie is actually not the worst thing in that game, to be honest, too. That wouldn't be terrible. But yeah, I'll cheer against the Eagles in this one. Wyatt, hopefully soon, but it's week to week. I could see him maybe being out another week, but hopefully he can get back sooner rather than later. All right. Before I get out, I forgot to have to reload this because my computer shut down. Let's get my image back up here. It's all seamless when the power goes out. Let's get our sleeper picks in for Monday Night Football. Should be a fun one. Lions and Buccaneers. Huge shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring today's show and partnering with us here at Pack-A-Day. Let me get that comment off really quick. We've got 100% match up to $100 by using code Pack-A-Day over on Sleeper. Again, 100% match up to $100 by using code Pack-A-Day. Terms and conditions apply. They also have a $20 entry with no deposit required. Terms and conditions apply for that as well. You can check those out over on Sleeper, available in over 25 states. For Monday Night Football, Baker Mayfield, over half interception. I do expect him to throw a pick. I think Detroit's going to be also ultra aggressive in this game. I think the Buccaneers are going to throw the ball around a lot. I think Detroit does get one turnover off of him, but I think he throws for more than 240.5 passing yards while doing so. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, more than 73.5 receiving yards in this game. Again, check out that awesome code Pack-A-Day over on Sleeper to get a 100% match up to $100. And again, a huge shout out to Sleeper for partnering with us here at the Pack-A-Day podcast. All right, finish up with a couple more questions, and then I'm going to be out of here. Wilson is good. Not worried if Jacobs chills today. Brooks can play as well. Holmes, I'm right there with you. Hey, caught you live again. Good seeing you, Andy. Green and Golden, baby. Brandon, appreciate you being here. And yes, hopefully big game for Matthew Golden today. Why does week to week no IR destination? Yeah, they're not going to use it now after they haven't for the last few weeks. So hopefully next week, the week after, somewhere in that range, Wyatt should be back. Let's go, Andy. Let's get this win today. Big B, good to see you, my friend. I'm right there with you. Hopefully, not hopefully. Green Bay's going to come away with the win. Should be a fun one, though. Should be a fun one. I think I'm winning 26-18. 26-18 Packers in this one. Fred, enjoy the game as well. Go Pack Go from Random Channel. Appreciate you, Random Channel. Where did you find that hoodie, brother? Yeah, for those of you who are late, we got the Godzilla Packers hoodie. That's what we're rolling with today. It's going to be on the post-game show too, assuming they win. If not, it might be burnt in a garbage can somewhere. I found it on Facebook. I was scrolling through Facebook, which I'm not a huge Facebook user. I just happened to be out there for a weird moment. And I saw it pop up, and I've never ordered anything so fast in my life. And then it seemed very sketchy, and I was very worried that all of my money was going to be gone. And then all of a sudden it showed up, and it was here. And now it's here, and now we're wearing it today. So we're definitely fighting with the Godzilla hoodie today, the Godzilla Packers hoodie, and I'm all in on it. This probably is going to be my most worn sweatshirt on the channel now, no question about it. Go Pack Go, go Pack Go. Mark, you were more than welcome. Thanks for being here. Appreciate that, Ray. Go Pack Go, Josh. Go Godzilla. Go Godzilla. That hoodie is fire with a lucky Facebook find. Yeah, very much so. No idea. I couldn't even name the company that I got it from. But yeah, gotta love the Godzilla hoodie. What more could you possibly ask for? All right, more spammers. Hate you. Go to hell. Let's see. Go Pack Go. Great hoodie, Andy. And thanks for the show. Go Pack Go LFG. Friends, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you a ton. Shout out to our good friends over at Sleeper. Make sure to check them out when you have a chance. I will see you guys live immediately following the game for the live post-game show. So check that out. Hopefully still wearing the hoodie. That means they won. If not, we'll have to change it up. I'll see you guys then. Enjoy the game. Packers pick up a big win. Until next time. And as always, and especially today, go Pack Go.